Welcome to this month's preview, marking 10 years of the Banker's Islamic Financial Institutions Rankings. I'm Joy McKnight, Deputy Editor of The Banker, and I'm here with James King, Middle East and Africa Editor. Thanks for joining us today, James. So this is the 10th year of tracking the global assets of Islamic financial institutions. What has changed over the 10 years?
Well, Joy, as you mentioned, we started tracking the assets of the global Islamic finance industry in 2006, and really a lot has changed in that time. So when we first started, it was a relatively small scale, almost local affair. It has since grown into a massive global industry, so assets have increased from about $386 billion in 2006 to $1.4 trillion today. And with that has come greater sophistication in terms of products and service offerings across multiple jurisdictions. So it's really been a very rapid increase in assets accompanied by a much more sophisticated offering of services as well.
Okay, but how has the slowdown in the global economy impacted on the Islamic financial institutions market?
So over the last 10 years, we've seen really stellar growth in a lot of the key markets, including the GCC and Southeast Asia. And as you mentioned, in the last year or two, that's really begun to sort of slow down. And we've seen the growth rate of the industry begin to moderate, sort of in tune with that environment. It's still outperforming the conventional sort of financial sector, but it is slowing down now and beginning to moderate somewhat. This year's rankings, total assets grew about 13% year on year. That was a big improvement from last year when we saw a slight dip in the numbers, basically as a result of the devaluation of the Iranian rial against the US dollar. So it's slowing, but it's still growing.
Okay, and what do you think is the future for Islamic finance?
Well, as I mentioned before, the industry has become much more globalized now. It's bigger, it's more complex, but there are still a few problems to address. So, for example, the industry is somewhat fragmented. We see two big areas, the GCC states and Malaysia and Indonesia, growing quite quickly, but there isn't much in the way of integration between those two markets. That's changing now, but what needs to happen is a greater sort of harmonization of legal documents and Sharia compliant standards across those markets to really achieve a more integrated and better connected global industry.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, James.
Thanks, Joy.